Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here and welcome back to another Cardano video. If you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an update. And just a warning that I will never give out WhatsApp numbers or anything like that in the comments. Any comments you see like that are complete scammers. I do spend time deleting them, but sometimes they just skip through as well. So again, anything like that, I will never recommend fund managers. I will never ask you for any money. I will never give out WhatsApp numbers, anything like that. So any of that, they are scammers, report them. And I would say just move on then. So in this video, what I'm going to discuss is the D-Day that is coming up for Cardano. So I will talk briefly on that article. I will also get into the timeline for payouts for rewards. So a lot of people are staking first or they're moving pools and they're wondering how that all impacts. So I will go through that briefly as well. And I will show you how to keep track of your rewards, both for tax purposes and everything like that within ADA pools. And I will talk about my own two pools as well, where you should get into. So if you want to help support, please do consider delegating to one of my pools. And I will, of course, look at the charts. What are the price levels that we should be looking at for Cardano right now as well? So let's jump in, and I will have timestamps down below for anyone who wants to skip to certain topics as well. Okay, we'll start out here with the article that ADAUSD put out last week about not long till D equals to 0 day. So I've got a few questions on what this actually means. I will leave a link to it down below because I'm just going to cover the high level view of it here just to give you an idea of what these parameter changes will mean for Cardano. So first off, D. What is the D parameter? This measures the decentralization of the network. And in simple terms, it is basically what percentage of blocks produced in an epoch is produced by the community pools versus the ADAUSD nodes. So when this started out, the majority of the blocks minted in an epoch were done by the ADAUSD nodes, and every single epoch 2% more blocks are produced by the community stake pools. And if you look in Daedalus right now, you can see that currently 90% of the blocks produced are done by the stake pools. So this means by the end of March, this will be at 100%, and it is a huge step for Cardano in going fully decentralized. So in terms of blocks being produced, we will be 100% decentralized at that stage. And then the final step of that will be bringing on-chain governance for deciding any network changes in the future. But again, that is all being worked on with Catalyst out there. On-chain governance is already there. So the next step will be to get parameter changes and everything like that into on-chain voting as well. So some of the other parameters then that they talk about is the K parameter. So I have talked about this one in the past, and this is the one that defines the saturation level of pools. So this went from K equals to 150 to K equals to 200 at the end of last year, and it was roughly penciled in for the end of March to go to K equals to 1000. So that has now been pushed out to Q3 because they are looking at some of the other parameters in the mean term before actually going to K equals to 1000. So for anyone new, what does saturation even mean? At K equals to 500, that means that the saturation point of a pool is 64 million ADA. So when a pool has more than 64 million ADA delegated to it, it's not going to earn any more rewards. So a pool with 64 million ADA in it is going to get the same amount of rewards as a pool with 70 million, but they will just have to spread out the rewards over more people. So if you're in a saturated pool, you get less rewards. And when this goes to K equals to 1000, then that level will come down to 32 million live stake. So any pool over 32 then would be saturated and would have the same impact of less rewards. Again, once we get official dates and all that, I will let you guys know. So why is this changed? Well, when it was K equals to 150, 54.6% of all delegated ADA was represented by the top 10 largest SPOs. When K went to 500, this meant that it was spread out a lot more, and 55.9% of ADA then was represented by pools outside of the top 10 SPOs. Again, pushing for decentralization all the time. And when we go to K equals to 1000, this again will push that out as well. So what are some of the other parameters they're looking at before this comes into effect? they're looking at the AO parameter, and this is the one that represents the pledge when you're looking at the rewards calculation. Currently, AO doesn't have any impact or an extremely small impact on rewards that pools get, but they're looking at making this parameter actually have an effect. What this would do is that it would mean that SPOs would have to concentrate their pledge in a smaller number of pools, but it's a double-edged sword as well. When you raise the AO level, I think they're looking at different mechanisms here to try and work out what the best overall situation is. And again, once we get more information, I will let you know. If you raise the AO level, where it means that a pool has to have a 50k pledge in order to be competitive with the rewards it pays out, then what this does is it starts to raise the barrier of entry for new SPOs coming in or SPOs in developing countries to have that type of funds, because currently with ADA at $1.12, that 50k ADA that you need is starting to become a very large sum of money. Again, we don't know what the figures are going to be or what the extra parameters are going to be around that, but if this ever comes into effect and my own personal pledges aren't enough within my pools, you can be guaranteed that I will be getting the pledge brought up to whatever it needs to be to guarantee rewards for anyone in my own pools. And again, I will keep you guys updated in future videos on all of that. Some of the other stuff that they're looking at as well is so they're looking at bringing in multiple delegation within one wallet. So when you have one wallet, you will be able to delegate to multiple pools. That is in the works. They're also looking to allow SPOs to delegate from Daedalus. When this first started, you had to do it all through the CLI, but ADA Lite brought out a really good feature a while ago where you were able to actually pledge from your hardware device, which is what I personally do myself. I use my ledger for my own pledge. And looking into the future as well, they're looking at the minimum fixed fee of 340 ADA. Currently, the minimum fee per epoch is 340 ADA. This is set by the protocol, but they say that this is under discussion and it will be coming down fairly soon. So there's lots of other discussions ongoing about smart contracts, transaction fees and all of that, but currently there is no information out in the public about that. When there is, I will let you guys know. On another topic that I get lots of questions on lately is rewards and when they're paid out. So there's lots of new people coming into delegating within stake pools. And when you look here, I've got this FAQ. So if you're new to Cardano staking, I will put a link to this down below. It answers a lot of the common questions, but some of the most common ones are about when you actually get paid. So it's this one here. When do I start earning staking rewards? So once you delegate, it takes 15 to 20 days to get your first rewards. And then after that, it's every 5 days. So this video here walks you through the timeline of why that is, but it basically takes you through this graphic here. So when you delegate in this epoch here, there are snapshots that happen at the end of every epoch, and that is what decides what's going to be counted as the stake for the upcoming epochs. So the snapshot that happens at the end of epoch A here is what is going to count for epoch A plus 2. So if you delegate here in epoch A, then it's registered in A plus 1, and A plus 2 is the first time that you actually earn a staking reward, and then that is paid out at the end of the following epoch. So you're always paid out one epoch later than when you actually earn it. So this is the same when you switch pools. So if you switch to a new pool in epoch A, then you're still in the old pool for epoch A plus 1. A plus 2 is your first epoch in the new pool, and then you get the first payout from the new pool in epoch A plus 4. I'm going to do a video that slows this down and goes through it all a lot simpler, but this is just to give you an idea. And when you change, you are still getting paid out from your old pool, because even though you're earning in this pool, this epoch here with your new pool, the payout you get after this is from your old pool because you were earning in the old pool for that payout schedule. And one way to track this to see what payouts you're actually getting and from what pool is to come in here into ADAPools.org. So if you go to your Daedalus and go to your wallet, go to your receive address, and then take an address that you have previously used, copy this address out, and then come back to ADAPools. So put it into the search, and then what you're going to see is you get all the information on this address here. And the important one here is the stake key. So if you go into the stake key for that, then you can see where you are delegated, and then you can see your history of rewards here. And when you scroll down through it, you can see what epoch. So when you get your rewards paid out, you can see how much the reward was and which pool that reward came from. So when you switch, if you're not sure if you're getting the rewards from the new pool now or the old pool, you can come in and check it here. And there's also a really good tax feature here. So when you click on tax, it shows you the rewards that you got, shows you the reward, shows you the USD ADA price at that time. And again, you can change it to your own currency here, and then it shows you how much your reward was worth. So when you are doing your taxes, whatever country you're in, then it's done different ways, but you should have all the information here that you need for that. So I hope that is helpful. And just on my own pools, people ask which pool they should get into. So I do have the two pools. One is just over 32 million and the second one is over 4 million stake now, which is great to see that growing so fast already. Again, it doesn't really matter which pool you go into right now for the short term, but if you're thinking longer term, then pool 2 is going to be the one that you can go into and stay there happily for until you get that email from me. And again, I have a newsletter set up that if there's any changes needed to the pools, that I will put that out in a newsletter as well as across my social medias. And the pledge will be updated this epoch now. Anyone who's seen my video about opening pool 2, I did say I was taking 80k from the first pool and putting it into the second. So there is a set time frame on that when you can do it to make sure that it doesn't impact delegators' rewards. And this epoch, it is now feasible to do that. So I will be taking the 80k and these two pools will both have 100k pledge. But as I say, if the AO level raises in the future and it needs to be a bigger pledge, you can be guaranteed that I will get that pledge up to whatever levels are needed. Okay, so taking a look at some of the charts now, and we will take a very quick look at Bitcoin first because of the impact it has on all other cryptos. So the way I see it is that we are really struggling to get above the 51,500 mark. And again, anything on price, look, I'm not a financial advisor. I am just giving you guys my opinions on all of it. So when we got above it here, it acted as a bit of support in around this area here. When we eventually crashed down through it, we struggled a few times now to get back above it. So over here, again, we were above it here, but only for 2 or 3 candles. So you can't really count it. And all around here, again, we're still struggling. What I see is an ascending triangle in the charts. And again, different people will draw these in different places. For me, I even have 2 of them. I have one in the shorter time here, and then the bigger picture of the upward trend of Bitcoin is back out here. What you normally see with an ascending triangle is that when you break out of these patterns, you get a fairly violent breakout, and generally it's to the upside. So I would be looking from a technical side at a breakout to the upside within the next few days for Bitcoin. Is this guaranteed? No, it's definitely not guaranteed. But for me, looking at this chart, I'm currently not sitting in any trades at the minute. I may be tempted to go long on a few trades if this pattern continues to play out and we do break the 51,500 level. That's when I would be looking at moving back up in the 50s then at that stage. So looking at the ADAUSD price, once again, the uptrend that I've showed in a few videos now, we are still within that. Even with these falls back here, if we zoom right in here, you can see that we stayed within this pattern here. And then again, when we fell last night, we'll go in a bit closer. You can see that we still stayed within this pattern. So for now, it is still in the overall uptrend in the market. And if we do get the breakout that I expect on the BTC chart this week, then again, this would help push the USD price of ADA up as well once we hold solid on the ADABTC price, which again is the most important one. We're sitting on a fairly critical level for that as well. I will show that in a minute. But short term, holding above this line here is very positive for ADA. This is what I shared in the charts this morning, and we still haven't broken out of it. Getting to the upside, I'd say we will see some pressure at that $1.20 mark. That is where we may see some resistance. Leading up to that, there is not a lot. You can see we are continually bouncing up and down within that, but breaking 120 is starting to become the next level that we really need to get above. Breaking 120, we could see a fairly quick shot up to the 133 then. And we'll see where we sit then. Again, for looking at longer term predictions, I want us above that 130, retested as support, and that's when I will then look to see where we can potentially go over the next few months. Right now, I'm only concentrating on the short term, looking to see getting above that level, retaining support there, and then we will look at where we can go. So looking at the ADABTC chart, as I say, we are at a fairly important level here. We are getting some decent support around this 2,200 sat. So you can see I have the broken green line here. I haven't made it a solid support line just yet because I want to see us bouncing up off this line before I will count it as overall support. So you can see a few times in around here now we have held it as support. Right now we are breaking through it, but when it only goes slightly below it, I will still hold this as support if this green candle that's trying to form here can push upwards. Zooming out as we always do, looking at the bigger picture, again, still very much uptrend for the ADABTC chart. For anyone new, this is the price of ADA against Bitcoin. So one ADA against Bitcoin, how much it would take. And currently it's in around 2,200 Satoshis to buy one ADA. So bigger picture, looking to stay in this uptrend. Short term, holding 2,200 sats would be very positive. But again, we'll see how it goes. And maybe Wednesday I will do an update video on the price then. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I do hope you guys got some value from it. If you have any questions, please do let me know down below. And give the video a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it out there as well. Thanks for watching guys. I will talk to you all very soon.